And you have that and you don't know it, okay? And then, but I've been taught to blame everything on me. For instance, when you take the song Amazing Grace, I mean, that's one of the filthiest songs for a black person to sing, because Amazing Grace, that's John Newton, okay? Who was he? He was probably the most vicious slave trader in the history of planet Earth. Now, they had slaves 10,000 years before America was even thought of. And one day, he rejected God. He said, you know, no part of that. But he came up in a home where his father was a Methodist minister. And so one day he's out on his boat, his pleasure boat, and this storm comes up where he knows enough about the sea that he's never seen anything like this. And he knew he was going to die, and he fell on his knees because he remembered the days at home. He remembered about repentance. And he fell on his knees and said, God, I am sorry. If you just spare me, I will repent, and I will be a drum major for the horrors of my life and what slavery has done to human beings. And at that point, the storm ceased. And he wrote several books, but he's the one that wrote Amazing Grace. That song was about him. Amazing Grace, how sweet. Thank you for forgiving a wretch like me. And you got black folks sitting in church singing that stuff.
Yeah.
My mama said she didn't even know what a wretch was. And so, you know, when we compare us to other people, look what the Jews was able to do business. No, they didn't come out of slavery. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me when I was in the military, I was too young for World War II. But suppose I lost my leg, huh? And suppose you got a loved one in the military, they lose their leg. They are better off now to run a marathon with one leg than I was. Why? Because of technology. Huh? Okay? All of the things. Now, when you take the soldiers, hear me, when you take the soldiers, it's over 2 soldiers a day, and that's a short count, that commit suicide every day.
Right.
Okay? Every day. The New York Times, Time Magazine finally came out and said 1 a day, and I saw the headline. I thought they was talking about the vitamins. And then I found out they finally raised their count to 30 veterans commit suicide every day. What? For a few minutes, they witnessed horror. Look how many years, 100 years I've witnessed slavery, and yet they come home, kill themselves, their wives, children, everything. That's the effect it has. Now, one day, when we start caring about soldiers instead of just using them, we treat military people the same way we treat slaves. You know, you have Uncle Tom, that's the generals in the Army, that will do anything you tell them and kill anybody that violates that. Okay? And so one day, somebody's going to say, let's go in and research the military families and see how much of that got passed on in their genes. You know, because in a country, if I'm a Muslim in America or don't believe in God, and I come up in a country where in their culture is the 10th commandment, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not rent. I don't want, look, you can be a Muslim in America, and you got to be something wrong with you if you don't understand Christmas. Because of the culture. You mean you're not going to Macy's and take advantage of them Christmas sales? You're not going on January the 1st to take advantage of all the stuff they didn't sell for Christmas? So it's part of you. And so here's a soldier that's not a Christian, but embedded in his brain bank, thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill. So he goes over there, gun-ho, I love America, and way back in that, way back down inside of that is, I kill somebody, and underneath that is thou shalt not kill. How much effect do that play on soldiers? coming back. It's already in the brain. It's already in the mind. You know, and so consequently, one day when we, I've said for years, and you Americans out here that can wave your flag to get your young people to the front line of battle, but when they come back home, you're not waving that flag to see to it of all the horrors and how you deal with that, then that's not a flag you waving, that's a rag you waving. So when you look at the homeless people out there in the street, you know, 47% of all homeless people are veterans, and 98% of them have mental problems, okay? That we just look at them as homeless people, and then that's the game we play. You see, war is a game. You win wars by killing women and children, not soldiers. Why? Every time you read that so-and-so just bombed a munitions plant, that's women and young folks. The soldiers is at the front line. Every time you read where something was blown up past the war zone, if you are Italian, and I am Irish, and I'm German, and you fighting me, you white and I'm white, you have a uniform and I have a uniform. Once you take that uniform off, I don't know who you are. Okay, that's how corrupt war is. That's why football and basketball and sports, each team have a different outfit. So in the height of my conscience, I don't make a mistake and throw the ball to the Kentucky player. And so that's what war. Church is the same thing. Why do you think all churches have a different outfit? Huh? How come if the so-and-so are Christians and the Catholics, why they wear one thing and I wear something else and we still Christians? Huh? All of that, all those are games that they play. Huh? The church got this philosophy. The Catholics have this one over here. The one God. There are no different things. And anybody says, God said we need to go to war. In the Bible, they put God anywhere they want it. Exactly. And so consequently, all of this is in our minds. And so I keep asking a simple question. How come there are no atheists on death row? Now, my mama and all her friends, they will figure out all kind of ways to say, no. And what makes black folks, I can't speak for white folks, what makes black folks think they have to defend God? What you qualify for? Huh? What makes you qualify? And what makes you think God needs you to defend it? You tell somebody, I don't believe in God, they go crazy, huh? What do you mean? God, you ever so God don't need you? And that snow just proved that the other day. Huh? You look at me, and then look at me, and then look at you, and all y'all look at you. It ain't never been two of us in the history of the planet that's alike. You look at that snow that come down. There's not two in the history of the planet. There's never been two snowflakes that's the same. There's never been two leaves on a tree that's the same. And everybody talk about unity this. And so I'm saying it has affected our mind, and we're not aware of it. And then I'm sure there's some young people coming through today, and there's some folks that probably knew it was scared to say it, okay, because of the going against the tide. And so consequently, when you sit and think about the whole culture thing, and one day I hope they get rid of all that old crazy culture. That's where the war started. There's where all the viciousness started. When the Catholic Church elevated the first Polish to the Pope, 1.5 million white folks left the Catholic Church. Huh? I mean, I wonder if they'd have walked out of a prostitute house. Huh?
Dick, hold on a second, Dick. This is WHCR 90.3 on the FM dial. Our guest online is Brother Dick Gregory, and we're talking in the preliminary part about Black history. It all relates. In the beginning, you said in terms of the history of black folks, you focus on two things. You said slavery, and you went into the remnants of it, how it's probably and possibly embedded in our DNA, our genes in the current period, and has to be looked at and programmed out. What is the second element that you look at?
It's the mind thing, that the fact that nobody has, what is good hair, man? What is good hair? You know, heard black folks talking about, even I talked about it, it's part of the culture. She got good hair. Hold it, wait a minute. My hair didn't come from the Chase Manhattan Bank. It didn't come from white folks. It came from that universal God that made. Now, are you telling me that God made something good and God made something bad? Huh? No, I picked that up here. A good example of what happened. When Bill Cosby got in trouble about talking about ghetto women, he didn't mention dope pushers. He didn't mention pimps and hustlers. Women. Wait a minute, hold it. Well, why did he get in trouble? He have never talked about black negativity like Malcolm X, like Elijah Muhammad, like the Nation of Islam. How come they don't get in trouble? Because they talked about it in the black community. They didn't use a white platform. They didn't. 98% of people there that night, I was there, were white folks. $500,000 a ticket. The New York Times, the Washington Post ran it. My grandmother didn't see it. She just heard. And so consequently, and then anytime a black person can say something, and then white folks start choosing sides. You know, and so let me just say this. I never say anything else. White folks scared us about the Nation of Islam. We never heard of them. My brother didn't know about no Islam. And we went to the movies, and we saw Arabs and Arabian Nights and all of that. We didn't go hear about every day. We hear the prayer chant at night. We don't hear nothing else. And then all at once they told us that Malcolm and the Nation of Islam was evil. Evil. Stay away from them. And so, okay, we listened. We stayed away. We would smile at them when we walked past the street because we were scared of them. We'd buy Muhammad speakers. We scared not to buy one. And so we get to work, and somebody said, "What about Malcolm X? Malcolm who?" Like we didn't know him. Then they killed Malcolm and put his picture on a stamp. How many of you black folks know a personal person that's on a stamp? But they told us not to like him. They told us they are evil. They hate white folks. And listen to the stuff you say about white folks when you come home. And so consequently, when you stop and think about today, we're talking about drug addiction. We're talking about murder in the black community. And yet we haven't reached out to Baptist Church, Catholic Church, in the Mexican community. Now, let me tell you about, when I was a little boy, Catholic schools, the Catholic Church in St. Louis was segregated. They had Catholic schools, black, Catholic schools, white, okay? And I would hear black folks say, "Yeah, girl, you having trouble with that boy? Send him over there to them nuns don't take no stuff." Well, the Muslims, like you, never say send them to Islam, because it's not white. But I know people send their children to Catholic schools just for discipline, And I wish a nun would hit me, slap me on my hand with a ruler. She's going to find out what that feel like.
Hold on a second, Dick, while we pause for station identification and a fundraising announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, you will have the opportunity to call in and ask your questions about 10 minutes. Telephone number 212-650-6903, 212-650-6903. Give us a minute and 20 seconds, and we'll be right back.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
I remember house when house was soul music and R&B before house was disco. I remember house when house was about love. House was about love.
Hi, this is astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn inviting you to meet me at WHCR's Valentine's Day party on Thursday, February 14th. I'll be doing relationship readings that will hopefully lead you to your soulmate. WHCR's house music DJs, DJ Mike D, DJ Vince the Prince, DJ Justice, and DJ Black Icon 1 will be spinning the wheels. There will be free food, a cash bar, and admission is only $10. That's Hearts Meet when house people meet, Thursday, February 14th at Image Nation's Raw Space, located at 2031 Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard between 121st and 122nd Street. I'll see you there.
Brother Lloyd Strayhorn up here in Harlem, USA. We're back with Brother Dick Gregory. And Brother Dick, just in terms of some of the personalities that you have known that we should know about. I know the third person was Sister Alvinia, the sister that guided you in terms of your fasting, etc. So start with either Johnson, Gaston, or Sister Alvinia, and just give us capsules of their value for our research beyond this program.
Go into that. If I cut you today, and you leave the studio and you're walking down the street, everybody see you. They have a look on their face, right?
That's correct.
But they see what? They see blood, right?
Right.
If you see somebody staggering, in the old days, the only people you saw stagger were drunks. But when the last time you seen somebody staggering because of alcohol, right? So if you see somebody staggering today, you run over and say, what's wrong? If you see somebody sitting on the curb crying, you run over. That's the universe's way to let the world something is wrong. When you come in the ghetto and see the streets are dirty, that's universal order to let you know something's happening.
Yes.
Okay? Just like if you bleeding. Now, if you walk down the street and put fake blood on you, I still react the same way. If a car turns over on the highway and there's some white folk passing by, they can be Klansmen. They get out and come over and say, are you all right? This is what it is. You don't run and ask a white person if they don't land on the street, are you a Klansman? Do you like black folks? Do you hate?
Right.
That's universal law. And so it's normal for black folks not to know their history. I got other problems on my mind. Not knowing my history is not going to get me lynched. Not knowing who. Now, all that other stuff is a luxury item. You buy suede shoes as a luxury item. You buy a car, a convertible. That's a luxury item. That's not the only car you have in this part of the country. What you going to do in the wintertime? And so when we look and talk about if you don't know your history, that ain't nothing but crap. I got to survive today. And so consequently, when we sit back now and we look at Alvinia Foods, look, people thought she was crazy, People thought she was crazy. I used to go into her store in the Stone Ghetto, man, and I see the pimps and the hustlers in there, the gambling, the roustabouts, okay? And so, wait a minute, I said, hey, wait a minute, why are they in here dealing with health? And then I noticed they would come in and get this salad. They come in every day and get this salad. And I didn't pay no attention to anything else. And then the salad dressing, she put in a little cup. They would drink that and leave the salad. And then I realized one day that stimulates your sex glands. That's what they was coming from. This Viagra. This is late, man. These are pimps and hustlers, man, would come in every day. That's who she was. She put everything. And look, in 1960, if she didn't make $6,000 a day, she had a bad day, And that was just in the black community. They would bring her around the country to speak, but they wouldn't give her no time because she didn't have the glamour.
Yes.
Nobody heard of her.
Yes.
And so consequently, she was curing cancer. She was curing everything. You just go see Dr. Fulton. And so consequently, she lived to get about 107. The horror is, wherever she is in her grave, if she heard me say that, she would have a fit. I couldn't believe anybody could be this close to the universe and feel this good about life and be ashamed about her age. And so, but Dr. Fulton, one day, when the research is done and people read her books, okay, they out there. You can't take that away. Then we'll know who she is. 2, You take Johnny Johnson. Johnny Johnson taught me something that I will take to I don't know where you go when you leave here, but it ain't no grave. My grandson was with me one day, and we passed a cemetery, and these little children asked some serious questions. Granddad, why they got a fence around that cemetery? I say, because people's dying to get in there. that's why they got it. You know? And so now, let's take Johnny Johnson. Let's say I lived in St. Louis, and you are the greatest philosopher on the planet. If I don't live in New York, I don't know you. I've never heard of you, huh? Never heard of you. And only once Jet Magazine and Ebony Magazine came out and connected us.
Yes.
Connected the black folks in America. Joined us. One of the wild experiences I ever had during the Civil War in Uganda. I went over there with a group of people. We said, come on, let's go over here and check this out. You can't trust NBC. So we get over there, and they battling, and I see it like a 7-year-old child, man, with an automatic weapon, walking down the street, right? And then they took us off the bus, man, and lined us up against the wall. And what are you doing here? Who's here? And a sergeant, a little young sergeant, and a guy on a bicycle, a soldier, a grown older man, jumped off the bus and said, "Get quickly, get quickly, get quickly." And everybody stopped and said, "Dick Gregory, oh God, you know about me? I've been knowing about you for years. Jet in Ebony Magazine, huh? In Uganda, okay? Why? Because I know you have a radio show. I'm talking about mythical.
Mm-hmm.
People tune in to you. I know how I do that from Jet in Ebony Magazine." And we said, well, they don't show nothing but light-complected people. They don't show nothing but the entertainers and athletes. In between that, that's what you wanted. I got to sell the book before I can put something in it.
Yes, sir.
And then I got to give you what you want, okay? And so consequently, you look around, and then one day, they can say anything they want. They can tell us about African leaders. They can show us something about anything. Why do you think you never looked at Jet and Ebony Magazine and they reviewed a black movie bad? They never told you don't go see that.
That's right.
Okay, we can't afford that.
That's right.
And so we always want to sit and look because we are ashamed. We are ashamed of slavery. We're more ashamed of being a slave than the folks, that put us in slavery. There's something wrong with that. And so consequently, we take the heroes of slavery, Nat Turner, so-and-so, so-and-so. No, hold it. One day we will find out, this is a luxury item, that ice hockey, the biggest white game on the planet, was invented by black runaway slaves and black free slaves in Canada. That's where ice hockey comes from. But what do I need to go to bed at night and know that? Is that going to help me read better? Is that going to help me do something better? Ice hockey? And so consequently, when you sit and see, now as you break these walls down, the question you asked me, we're going to do the same thing about women one day. Where are the women? Okay, look at the women athletes. Didn't nobody care about that. Nobody cared who was the best woman's basketball. We cared about the best tennis because they was conquering a white game. Okay, that was doing something that made me feel good. Okay, and so consequently, when you see Jet and Ebony Magazine and it had educational things in it, it exposed me not just to black. It exposed me to the whole world, and it also told me who got lynched last week. It also told me who got shot in the back 5 times last week. It was you got the word the communicator. It was the communicator. And finally, with this brother man, he told me he's the only black in the history of America that had a headquarters downtown. We still don't have a black company with a headquarters downtown. Did you hear me? And when he went he had a white guy go buy the land. Didn't have nothing to do with your money. Y'all sit around here and talk about money this and business this. He had a white guy buy the land. After he bought the land, he went to the bank to finance it. They told him no. What did he do? He went back to the office, called the president of Chicago First National Bank, and said, make me up a certified check. I'm coming to take all my money out the bank. And he said, is this Johnny? Yes, this is Mr. Johnson. Well, what happened? I came over there and I couldn't get a loan. Okay? I got over $300 million in your bank. Huh? So he said, no, we got to talk. So he came by the office. First time he ever been by there. He came by the office and he said, what happened? You know what happened. He said, well, let's do this. Come in tomorrow and we'll have a meeting. I think we can fix it. So he go in the next day, and in the meeting, they said, well, here's what we'll do. We will loan you the money, but you have to hire one of our accountants. Do what? Yeah, we have to hire one of our accountants so we know our money is safe. Let me get out of here. Give me my check. I said, wait, hold. So they worked that out. And then he said, well, the architect was the father of the young lady that Arthur Ashe married. Famous.
Right.
Yeah. So then they did the research and said, well, he, black folks don't know how to build nothing but churches. You believe they told him this? No, nothing but churches, man. He said, well, I built a pyramid, right? and so they worked it out so he could bring in the black architect, this and that, put it together. Now, here's what he told me one day in his office. He said, one of my policies is, if I fire anybody, if I caught them with my wife, if I caught them stealing, I fire them, but I'll pay them until they get another job. Did you hear what I just said? Did you hear what I just said?
Yes, sir. Pay them till they get another job.
So I'm saying, for the ripoff, I looked at, no, I've never had to pay a person longer than 2 weeks. And I figured that out on my own. I'm married. I got a wife and a family. I work for you. You catch me stealing, catch me using drugs, and you find me. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed with my wife. I got to go home and defend myself, and I start talking all dirty stuff about you, and you ain't no good, and you just because I'm smarter than you. Now I don't have to even tell you I'm fired. My check is coming. Now I can go and apply for another job with a spirit, and that's why he never paid. And when I opened up my company, I set that up as my policy. Okay. Now we go back to the boss man, Gaston, businessman. Now he functioned within the system, so his business expertise wouldn't work outside of America, because I got to take my money to a white bank, and I got to behave myself and know if they stole it, I can't call nobody.
Right.
Who gonna arrest the white banker over stealing money? Oh, he must be selling something illegal, right? He in that, I'm sure he had to loan money to white folks that needed it. When we just stopped talking about, little Wall Street, in Oklahoma, what was it? What city was that in?
You're talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. See, what we don't talk about is those black folks in the business circle. They had Chinese, they had Jews, they had Indians, And the real white folks out there was one black brother that was clearing $100,000 profit a week. Now they wanted in. And when they wouldn't let them, they looked up one day and them little crop dusters were dropping bombs on that part. Okay, they don't tell you about that. That's what you had to function inside and outside of. And so consequently, when he put that empire together, okay, then he decided he was going into the insurance business. Well, he become a billionaire.
Gaston.
How? Not the insurance that New York Life was selling. He was selling burial insurance. burial insurance, not insurance to pay off your home or your mortgage. He was selling burial insurance because if you go to the Baptist church and get a Baptist hymn book, 98% of those songs are death tunes. You got shoes, I got shoes, all got children got shoes. Once we get to heaven, we're going to, what you got to do to go to heaven? Huh?
You got to.
When we get to heaven, we're going to have milk and honey. Man, I couldn't wait. And then one day, I got enough sense to go buy some milk and buy some honey, and I mixed it. It do not taste good. So, Grandma, y'all waiting to get some milk and honey, go down to the grocery store and buy you some milk and mix it and see if it tastes good. Okay? But what I was saying in my subconscious mind, that this white boy is so thuggish and so ungodly, I will never get mine till I get to heaven. Huh? I will never get mine till I get to heaven. So he opened up burial insurance. Now listen to this, because the way he had carried himself, he went to the white folks and borrowed $1,500, okay, $1,500, and put his company together, and you could buy it for a penny a week, huh? And if you died, the funeral was paid for. So two of the folks he sold it to that first week they was gambling in a house where he stood up for gambling, and they got into an argument and they took out their switchblades and cut each other to death. Now Gaston got these two insured for a penny, right? That's all they paid was a penny. And now he got to bury them. He didn't cry. He tuned into the tactics of my mind. He went back to that white man and bought $3,000 and laid them away. Man, he went out, bought the best coffin, put them in the best suits, haircuts and everything, and it got all, of course, his thing was just a local thing. It got all over the black community that these guys got the best funeral anybody's ever seen for a penny. That's how his business took off. And then after it got so good, white companies started coming in.
Right.
And you can go to my old folks' house now, my aunt and them, and look through their stuff, and they got a burial insurance on Richard Gregory. They got a burial insurance on me. So that's what, and then he went into all kinds of things. He got into banking as the thing progressed. And so with you in the industry, when King needed something, you know, while we was waiting for it to come in, Gaston bankrolled it. And so that was him. That was that power, okay? And then when you sit and look at the street sellers in the street, that's Africa, man. The one thing I haven't understand in New York City on Fifth Avenue, you see them Africans that's so black they purple, standing across from Boulevard Watch, standing across from all your high-end. They selling that for them, man. When them thug companies realize that the knockout product could make billions just like them, so they sell two products. They sell the real one and the knockoff product, okay? And so right there, why do they use them Africans? They invented banking and finance. When I see Africans, I go to Africa, they ain't begging. They got their hand out. They got something to sell. Why? That's the same thing Ford Motor and General Motors when you turn on TV. They ain't begging. They got their hand out trying to ask you to be a customer. That's what's in our genes, okay?
Brother Dick Gregory.
Yes.
Hold on one second while we get ready for calls. 212-650-6903. 212-650-6903. Thank you for your call. You're on the Black Air.
Yes, Brother Leroy.
Yes, sir. God bless you, my brother.
Thank you so much, Brother Gregory.
God bless you, my brother. I hope you're handling the snow well.
Hey, look, it's another beautiful day.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you, and you know, I noticed that you don't like to toot your own horn, Brother Gregory. But your book is the first book I ever read in my life. Before that, I hated reading books. Nigga by Dick Gregory. And
No, go ahead.
Yeah, and I would like to know of that book. Because you break that book down.
You're cutting out on me.
Okay, say it again, my brother, because it seems like you're going in and out.
All right.
The book Nigger.
Nigger by Dick Gregory.
Right.
Yes.
It was the first book I ever read in my life.
Yes.
Before that, I hated reading, and I had to do a book report on that. But that's one thing, and that's something in my life that had persuasions. However, I would like to know. I really would love for you to make a movie of that, to break down that book facet by facet to the point where I keep your book on the same shelf as I keep the Bible and the Quran, my brother. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you that because it have relieved me of the anger that I had for the word and for certain people, because I grew up going to school with certain predominantly Caucasian school, and we had to fight each and every day to get to school. I don't want to go too deep into it, but you know the flavor of what that consists of.
Okay.
And it was one of those things where it helped me when you in your book you are what you eat, or you also are what you think. Near the end of the book, and you said if they had that in their mind, you said, so who's the nigga if you are what you think? And that had resolved, just like that, a whole weight was lifted off of my whole soul, my brother. Yes. And I just want to say, man, because you don't like going on, you were the first black presidential candidate, if I can remember, other than Angela Davis, she ran.
Wait, let me back up. They ran in the primary.
Okay. Oh, it was the primary?
They ran in the primary. I ran in the country because I didn't have to go and ask nobody, can I run? I woke up one morning and said, I'm going to be a write-in candidate for the President of the United States. Jesse Jackson and Al and them, they was in the primary up until Obama won the primary. Up until Obama won the primary, I was the first black man in the history of America to run for President of the United States. Now, you said toot horn.
Hold on. Okay, Dick. I'm sorry. Tooting you. That you're reluctant to toot your own horn.
It's called royalties. it's called royalties. But what I do, let me tell you how I toot my horn. Before I made it big with a wife and a family, I was making $1,500 a year with a wife and a family.
You said $1,500 a year?
A year. I was making $10 a night, 3 nights a week. Okay? And when the black folks in that little honky-tonk club tolerated me before I got funny. See, the biggest laugh you ever had in your life didn't come from comics. It come from family members and friends. Comedy is when you put a time in together. A relay, you can have the best, fastest runners in the world. If you don't know how to pass that baton, you're not going to win. And so them black folks tolerated me and pushed me all the way downtown where they couldn't afford to see me. So it is my humanity to come back to them and say, hey, baby, how you doing? I've always been listed in the phone book. I ain't never had no bodyguards, okay? Y'all made me, it gets boring sometimes. You sit in the restaurant trying to eat, and they come up and shake your hand after they finish. Okay? You go to a casino, I'll be in there playing the slots, and after they run out of money, they want to come over and shake my hand. I'm trying to get these 3 hearts, man. But that I owe that to the community. I lived around the corner from Elijah Muhammad, right? I go around and see him and talk to him, and you learn humanity. Nobody say thanks but a fool. Thank you. You never heard no rich folks say thank you. You ain't never heard Queen Elizabeth say thank you. You haven't looked in the Christian Bible and heard Jesus say thanks. God ain't never told nobody to say thanks. It says, humble yourself.
Humble yourself.
The mob can thank you today and blow your car up 2 blocks after they kiss you.
Hold on, Brother Dick. God bless you. Thank you for your call. You're on the Black Air.
Yes, brother. Good afternoon.
Turn your internet, your radio, whatever in the background down. This is WHCR. Yes, sir. Your question.
That's better?
Yes, sir.
Thank
God
you,
bless
my
you.
brother. Peace to you.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum to both you brothers. Dick, I'd like for you to talk a little bit about these black athletes. You know, they just had a big thing here a few weeks ago with the Boston player and the Knicks player arguing because the Boston player said something about the Knicks player's wife and all this stuff. And these guys are making millions of dollars. They have so much influence, but yet and still they don't have any character based on, like, when in the days with Jim Brown, some sort of black organization among the players. Even if they had a shoelace making factory in the ghetto where they come from and hired black folks to work in a shoelace making factory and wore the shoelaces, it would do more for the community than what they're doing now with making these millions of dollars. Now you got LeBron James, he crying because he made $60 million a year, and that's not enough. But by the reality is, he done made $60 billion for the daggone city state that he's playing in.
So that's your question?
Yes, sir, brother.
Okay.
And I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you. Brother Dick Gregory.
That's our fault. You know, what are athletes? They entertainers. They 5 degrees higher than pimps. Huh? They've been doing, them athletes been doing that since they was 5 years old. They not business people. When have you heard Jewish people get on the radio and talk about Jewish athletes? You need to do this. They are not business people. All I want an athlete to do is take that ball and outrun God. I don't need them. You don't go to no damn athlete for your brain surgery. We need them because we need a good feeling inside of us. But let me tell you, when Oprah Winfrey signs a $100 million check, the agents and stuff get 40% off the top. That's before taxes, okay? Y'all hear the glamour part, but you don't hear the filth. An entertainer and athlete in a business in America, if you took Hitler and them Nazis and multiplied them by 10 billion trillion times, you can't equal one entertainment industry. Why do you think they all end up broke? Most of them is uneducated, and those that are educated pass them through school just so they can keep playing football. So that's what you're dealing with, and that's what you're going to put your hopes on. These folks I just mentioned to you, they didn't talk about athletes, but Johnny Johnson, they put a plan together. They know more about the black community and how to sell than athletes do, because once they get to be good athletes, they move them from the black community. And so when they get out there, they take their homeboys and open up little T-shirt rakes. Of course, the homeboy can't handle that fast pace. They separate us, okay? Do you know how long it was before a black person? I just told you what happened with Johnny Johnson. He had to get a white dude to go in and buy the land downtown to build his building, okay? And so we still sitting here praising athletes. You got a handful. There's more of you all listening to this show today that have done more for the humanities than 99% of all the athletes and entertainers in America put together. And you'll know when we have won, when we look to somebody else, you know, as something other than an athlete and an entertainer. Let me tell you something about professional sports. Professional athletes' life expectancy is 54 years of age. Winos live longer than that. They shoot them up with dope. They shoot them up with drugs for the pain. Anytime you sitting at home looking at a football game on Sunday and you see, wow, you see an athlete get hit so hard, stuff is shaking in your living room. And then Monday, you pick up the paper and they say, yeah, a shotgun, Italian Jones. He had a brain concussion. He had a broken nose, fractured jaw, sprained hip, and a fractured knee. But we sure he'll be ready for next Sunday's game. What more you want out of them?
Hold on a second, Dick. Hold on. While you laugh at the truth, laugh to keep from crying.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
We're in the last few minutes with Brother Dick Gregory. Telephone number 212-650-6903, talking about black history and other things. God bless you. Thank you for your call. You're on the Black Air.
Yes, thank you and good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Always a great pleasure hearing Dick Gregory.
I don't know where you are, but I guess it's morning somewhere.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay, you started on the program. You said something about a lady that was influential to you, and John Johnson. and another person named Jackson. Could you
He's talking about Alvenia. Alvenia. Spell her first name, Dick, and her last name. Is it Alvenia Fulton?
Yes.
Alvenia Fulton. Fulton.
Right. Yes. And you can look her up. I don't know how much they have on the internet, but you go to the old time black books in Harlem. They might have some of her old stuff. But I would also hit up your books that you can see. Whatever you get is worth having. That's how brilliant she was.
Okay, caller.
Okay, Alvenia Fulton. I can look her up on the internet.
Yeah.
And John Johnson and the other guy that went into the burial is this Gaston. What was his first name?
But he was big business. He was big business.
A.G. Gaston.
A.G. Gaston.
A.G. Gaston. Gaston. There's a biography on him. I think it's called Black Titan. And John Johnson, his autobiography is a very good book. Very good book. I just can't recall the title of it. But John H. Johnson, his autobiography is a very good read. Very good read, brother. And Alvenia Fulton, you have to look for her wherever you can find her books, okay? And quite often when you, this is one of my trade secrets, when you're looking for some books that aren't out, meaning in circulation anymore, and you looked at Amazon, you couldn't find it, you start going into thrift shops.
Right.
Look through those books, and I always recommend get the oldest dictionary that you can find out of one of those thrift shops. They give you a whole lot more than some of the watered-down dictionaries today. Okay, right. My brother?
Okay, in order to reach Dick Gregory, to go on the internet, or he has his own website?
Yeah, DickGregory.com.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
All
brother. Right. Telephone number 212-650-6903, 212-650-6903. Going back to Sister Alvenia Fulton, you said the drug addicts and the street people were coming in to the store. She would serve them salad, but they were drinking the salad dressing.
Yeah, that was the sex stimulant. That's all they're coming in for.
Okay, well she didn't put Viagra in it because it wasn't around, but she put together.
They might have took what she did and made Viagra.
You
know?
Okay, very good, very good. Telephone number 212-650-6903. What, if any, contact did you have with Fannie Lou Hamer?
Nothing, just in marching. Remember, I didn't live there.
Right.
I wasn't part of the movement. I would go in whenever there was a crisis. When the two senators from Mississippi, Eastland and Stennis, because of the voting rights, as I tell you, they cut the food stamps off. And our good friend Kennedy went along with it. They cut the food stamps off. And only once black folks who had been dependent on food stamps. So when I went, I met with Fannie Lou Hamer and the NAACP, and I said, look, how much food do you think it would take? And we sit down and worked out, well, let me bring 70 tons of food in every 2 weeks. And I paid for that. I mean, I'd go to Hefner and different folks and borrow the money till one of my checks come in. But it was that love you saw with them. And you see, what you see, the movement. If you just heard Malcolm's speeches, if you missed it, he was one of the funniest cats on the planet, man. And most of the time I feel embarrassed being around him. That's how shy he was. He was so shy and humble. He said yes, sir, and no, sir, to children, to women, to white folks, to black folks. When that camera come on, watch out. And so in the South, you know, we weren't scared all the time. We would sit around and talk. We go to them churches and listen to them preachers. You know, you hear King, man, you got some preachers down there that can hoop. They do it every Sunday, man, with no Hollywood writers, huh? And you don't hear the same script over and over, and they do not leave their house on Sunday morning. Then, okay, let me see what jokes I'm going to use today. It's in the spirit. That's what that movement was about. And so, just, but you know, we come up with great black women. You we let white folks pull a couple out the hat for us, but we come up with great black women. I mean, we know about the ones they want us to know about after they dead, okay? And so when you look at Rosa Parks, I mean, her daddy was mean and bitter because he wanted to be a Garvey Knight. But Marcus Garvey said, if you yell, you cannot come in here. Just said, so he sit down on his porch every night with his double-barrel shotgun and dared somebody to mess with his house. You had a black guy in some little bitty town in Mississippi. The Ku Klux Klan ran up on his porch with torches to burn his house down. He shot both of them dead, okay? Now, here's the sad part. All at once, because of the movement, they couldn't just come and kill him, take him out of jail and kill him because the Justice Department was watching sometime. And so they negotiated a deal. He said, if he'll plead guilty to the lesser, and you give him 18 months in jail with 6 of that suspended. Now, you couldn't do that outright because you would lose because the white folks had to vote for you. But they engineered that. So he went to jail. And the first night he was in jail, the next night his wife died. Why? They had been married for like almost 75 years. She was 13 when he married her. He was 15, okay? They had never spent a night away from each other. Wow. Did you hear me? They had never spent a night. Well, it's a vacation. You don't go on no vacation. You ain't got no job where you have to travel. Every one of those nights, they were together, and all at once, here's a night, he is not there, and she died. That's the struggle. That's what, those are the things that persuaded me, is to see what happens. Here's a brother sitting up, NAACP, sitting up on his porch, baby, when they come there to burn his house down and kill everybody in it. And he shot and killed both of them. And for the first time, people started getting scared. They said, wait a minute, oh my God. Because they listen to these Negroes that's telling them, oh, that's an awful thing. I don't know why he must not be a good Christian, okay? And so that was the atmosphere there.
Telephone number 212-650-6903, 212-650-6903. And we've been talking about Black history, the value of Black history, and you shared with us some very good notes. Current events, insights into, hold on a second while we go to this call. God bless you. Thank you for your call. You're on the Black Air.
Yeah, I have Dick Gregory speak something on Claudette Colvin.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I have Dick Gregory speak on Claudette Colvin.
Okay, are you aware of that Claudette Colvin? Is that it?
I have Dick Gregory to speak on Claudette Colvin. The woman was arrested before Rosa Parks.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
You know,
go ahead, brother.
The woman that was arrested before Rosa Parks, there was 3 women that was arrested before Rosa Parks. What they had to do to keep the momentum up, see, we misunderstand black folks. I just told you how they treated Malcolm and Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. This woman had 5 children by 5 different white men. So they decided this is not the good case to take up, okay? And we do the same thing when we, the NAACP, evaluate folks. There's a whole lot of people. You know, Dr. Ife Williams, she do evaluations of people who send to the White House to be picked for certain jobs. And you can have 12 PhDs, but if you got a crack bust on your thing when you was in high school, they're going to tear that up. You pick the one, and especially that would embarrass black folks. And so consequently, they didn't pick. Rosa Parks didn't get on that bus picked to get arrested. She got on that bus, behaved just like all the other black folks. But what we don't know about that system, it was a law that blacks rode in the back half, whites rode in the front half. When the front half got full, blacks had to get up and get their seat, and they did that. What we didn't know, and I didn't know, that you got on the bus, paid your fare, and then got off and walked to the back door. Because of her dignity and her not smiling and flirting with the bus driver, the bus driver several times drove off and left her. Now, to show you how close that come to not happening, she told me, had I known that was him, I wouldn't have got on that bus. She got on the bus, went to the back, sit down, and the bus filled up in the front. A white guy got on the bus, and he wasn't having no problems with standing. The bus driver had so much hatred for her, he went back to her and told her to move. And you black folks let these white folks run that N-word on you. I don't even want to deal with it because I can't tell you what it feel like if I got to tell you he walked back there and said N-word. But when the New York Times want to run it, they say nigger, okay? So how do y'all get that crazy? Huh? How do y'all get that crazy? And so somewhere the problems that you still have of getting over certain things. If somebody called you a billionaire, you wouldn't be upset, and you'll never be a billionaire. You can never be a nigger. But why you grab negativity? If some welfare mother told Rockefeller he was broke, if he was arguing with her, I'd take my money out to Chase Manhattan Bank. You don't argue with fools. You don't have it. We used to have a slang. If the hat fit, wear it. If it's too tight, tear it. Okay? And that's what we do. And so consequently, she sit there and didn't get up. Because let me tell you what getting up meant. A white person couldn't sit next to another black person. So if she got up, the black man sitting next to her had to get up, and the two black people sitting across from her had to get up. So you had to give up 4 seats. They was doing it, but then all at once, she decided she wasn't going to move. Now, they try to say her feet was tired. They try to say everything to try to make you think that she was doing it because she'd been at work all day and she was tired. No. And so consequently, that's what happened, and it blew up around the world. And that movement got so big, the Montgomery Improvement Association was getting millions of dollars coming in from all over the world. Now they had another problem. They cannot put that money in one of them banks because them white folks would steal it or keep it or say you never had it.
Right.
And if they said that, who you gonna call? The police?
Go ahead.
Huh? You gonna call the FBI? So way back, 100 years before this happened, a guy named Richard Pullman in Chicago decided that he believed that the white folks had enough money on the ride trains that would have a sleeping car where they could sleep in special dining. Before that, the super rich would just hook they train onto the train. And so he went to London, and they built him because he'd come back. It was at the middle of Reconstruction. All the black folk couldn't. He went down south and said, "I'm looking for tall, 6'3" black men, dark black with white pearly teeth and know how to smile." And that's how he came up with the Pullman Porters. And so consequently, the Pullman Porters would hear everything. They'd hear them rich white folk talking about what stock they're gonna trick, blah blah blah, because you was a non-person. And then when them money started coming in, now the railroad knew that in order for them to stay in business at that level, they had to have some place where them northern Negroes, Pullman Porters, could sleep and eat. So they went into the black community and put money up for the folks that had homes to keep X amount of rooms, 24 hours a day for the Pullman Porters, and food. They would put the money up for the food. And so all at once now, when them checks started coming in from around the world to the Montgomery Improvement Association, they would give it to the Pullman Porters to take back up north and put it in the bank. And when they came back down, they'd give them the receipt. Okay, that's how all of that came together and hit. So we always, if you have 3 sons, you're going to pick the best one to put up for a math scholarship. Now, a better story than that is Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson's brother was a better athlete than him. But because of his temper, they picked Jackie over his brother. Brother was three-time All-American, and Jackie Robinson temper. Now, Jackie paid the price because he died. Sugar diabetes. That's what. When you hold that anger and hatred and bitter inside of you, it causes death. You start going blind and all of that. But they picked the best one to move this thing forward. Thank you, brother. Brother Dick Gregory, I want to thank you very much, and we got 1 minute for you to share with us something regarding health, some health tip that we can pursue. Let me waive that today and say that drastic storm that just hit you all. Yes, sir. Those of you all that are sitting in the house and you go to the toilet and you flush it, you turn on the water and you brush your teeth, you cook, there's thousands of people that can't do that today. Some black, some white. It's a universal crisis when you cannot do the normal things you can do. There's no light. You know, where I live, my family, they got all kinds of stuff stacked in the house, you know. But there's people that don't have money. They knew it was coming. They couldn't run to Safeway or to the drugstore to load up on stuff. And as horrible as it sounds, think about them alcoholics and them drug addicts, huh? They not the problem that can't get to it, okay? And they're going through all them changes today. It wasn't just some snow that fell. It's some human people that's suffering, and just send a little meditation out to them. There's people with money. In Houston was so bad, if you had money, you couldn't spend it, and when the lights go out, your credit card don't work. And if you got cash, the cash register don't open up because it's worked by electric. So underneath us, where we sleeping today and having fun and enjoying and going to look at the Grammys tonight, there's a lot of suffering right next door to you. And just tune into a meditation to that universal spirit that they'll make it through another day and another week. Thank you, my brother. Brother Dick Gregory, God bless you. Thank you for joining us. Much, many thanks to you and your family, your wife, for setting up this interview. God bless you, my brother. My pleasure. Thank you, baby.
Breaking up big rocks on a chain gang, breaking rocks and saving my time. Breaking rocks I tell on a chain gang, cause I've been convicted of crime. Hold it steady right there while I hit it. I reckon that ought to get it. Been working and working, but I still got so terrible long to go. I committed crime, Lord, of needing, crime of being hungry and poor. I left the grocery store, man, bleeding, when he caught me robbing his store. Hold it steady right there while I hit it. I reckon that ought to get it. In working and working, but I still got so terrible long to go. And judge, say 5 years hard labor on the chain gang, you gonna go. I heard the judge say 5 years of labor. I heard my woman scream, Lordy, no. Hold it steady right there while I hit it. I reckon that ought to get it. In working and working, but I still got so terrible long to go. Wanna see my sweet honey baby, wanna break this chain off and run. I wanna lay down somewhere shady, Lord, it sure is hot in the sun. Hold it steady right there while I hit it. I reckon that ought to get it. Been working and working, but I still got so terrible long to go. Breaking up big rocks on a chain gang, breaking rocks and saving my time.
WHCR presents Hearts Meet When House People Meet, Valentine's Day Party on
Thursday, February 14th from 6 p.m. to midnight.
Hearts Meet When House People Meet will be held at Image Nation's Raw Space,
located at 2031 Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard between 121st and 122nd Street.
Our special guest, world-renowned numerologist Lloyd Strayhorn, will give relationship readings.
Bring your sweetheart or find your sweetheart and dance the night away to the best house music in Harlem by WHCR's DJ Mike D,
DJ Vince the Prince,
DJ Justice,
and DJ Black Icon 1.
There will be free food
and a cash bar.
And the admission is only $10.
What? What you say?
And the admission is only $10.
That's WHCR's Hearts Meet When House People Meet Valentine's Day Party.
On Thursday, February 14th from 6 p.m. to midnight at Image Nation's Raw Space. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Communicators coming to you over WHCR 90.3 on the FM dial. Our guest online may have his internet up. You're going to have to turn that down, and because we're getting a reverb. Our guest is coming in by way of L.A., Los Angeles. Michael Rupert, are you with us?
Yes, I am, but I'm not in L.A. I'm at 8,100 feet in the Colorado Rockies, okay, but I used to be in L.A.
Michael Rupert has a website. If you go on YouTube, you'll find a lot of information regarding Michael Rupert's presentations, and they are, as Dick Gregory I call, outside the box of information or misinformation generated by the general media. So he is one of the go-to people that you would want to entertain getting information from, and we've reached out to him to give us some insight into what is going on in Los Angeles as relates to the shooting and what his insights might be. Thank you, Brother Rupert, and the floor is yours.
Well, I've been doing quite a bit of talking about the Christopher Dorner case in Los Angeles for the past couple of days, and it is like nothing I've ever witnessed in my life. I'm a former LAPD officer. I'm also an author of a couple of books about CIA and drugs, 9/11. I confronted the CIA director, John Deutsch, in Los Angeles in 1996 over CIA and drugs. And I know a lot about LAPD, but I have also spent many years as an investigative journalist and author living with members of U.S. Army Special Forces, Navy SEALs, former members, and I'm, as an investigative journalist, I've worked on a great many military cases. So I'm familiar with the case of Christopher Dorner because of his experience as a naval officer, a lieutenant with Riverines. That's a special operations unit in almost all cases that insert SEAL teams in freshwater in rivers and provide security, so they have all the same training. And this man, this former LAPD officer who served 3 years with LAPD, probably did more than a decade with the U.S. Navy. He is a skilled special operations warrior. And he is also, and his record clearly indicates that he has not been unstable. He was honorably discharged from the U.S. Navy, Naval Reserves, just a couple of days before these shootings occurred. He alleges that he was wrongfully terminated for making false statements to a supervisor, which on prima facie his so-called manifesto supports that clearly he was justified and accurate in reporting excessive force by a training officer at the time who was white, and he was fired. And the process this has gone on for 3 or 4 years now. His appeals were exhausted apparently last year, and he has been, in my opinion, planning these shootings for some time. He has clearly outfoxed and thrown law enforcement, not only in California but several states, completely off balance. He appears to have the initiative at this point, but 3 people have been killed, 1 police officer, 2 civilians, and I don't think there's much, of course, to use the legal terms, this is all alleged. However, he hasn't come out to deny it, and it's pretty apparent that he did. I believe in his manifesto he referred to that. So this is an unusual situation in that the man represents a number of cultural, political, social, racial dichotomies and problems and issues. He is much better trained than the average cop on the street, and I believe because of his special warfare experience that he has neutralized almost every technique that law enforcement would have to locate him, and he is still on the run. His truck was burned. We find out now had a broken axle, so we don't know how much that has slowed him down. But he is still at large, and the longer that Christopher Dorner remains at large, the more trouble he causes, the more pressure builds along a number of fault lines, not just in Los Angeles but around the country. This is a very unusual situation.
Talk about the collateral. This is my term, collateral damage at this point. Specifically, people who have been mistaken for him, etc. What have you picked up regarding that?
Well, I understand that situation perfectly. He is better trained than almost every police officer on the street, save those who had training or combat experience in the military. He probably has them all outgunned, and they are jumpy, and they are nervous, and they are scared. And I also believe that there was a very clear intent that he not be taken alive. But I attribute the shootings of innocent people, these poor women who were delivering newspapers in torrents, to the fact that cops are scared. And that's a very real thing. I was on the streets in Los Angeles with LAPD in 1974 during the SLA shootout, when the SLA had blown up police cars around Los Angeles, and I witnessed police officers, if you will, almost losing it because they were afraid. So this is, he has the initiative now, and I think we want to see what's coming up next. I do believe he is in talks with LAPD. Last night, the Associated Press issued a very short one-word statement. They didn't even mention his name so that it wouldn't trigger keyword searches, that the LAPD had agreed to reopen the investigation into his firing. And that's just a day or two after Chief Beck and LAPD had said it wasn't going to happen. So I suspect that he is in negotiations right now with law enforcement.
And see, here in New York, there is not a lot of information as it would be on the West Coast. The 2 women being shot, give us what you understand of that.
Well, all the press accounts that I have read said that in the early morning hours after the manhunt began, in his manifesto, he listed a number of targets, which is very consistent with special operations warfare and their family members, which is the way Special Forces has worked throughout its 40, 50 years of existence.
Hold your point for a second, Mike. Michael, hold on a second.
Sure.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to do it again. We have a station ID requirements, and I had it on low. So let's go back to the videotape. And this is the Communicators, and we're coming to you from
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
And our guest online is Mr. Michael Rupert, former L.A. Police Department member, and also an investigative reporter, has his own blog, etc., which he will inform us of. Going back to the early mornings when the 2 women were shot.
Okay, there was one of the targets that was listed, and there were more than 40, I believe. And so LAPD had, on an emergency basis, rushed protection details to those houses, and I would assume they were prioritized. And one house was in Torrance in the early morning hours. A truck mildly or sort of resembling his was observed cruising down the street with no lights at a very slow speed. According to all the press reports, and I don't think LAPD has denied this, officers opened fire from some distance and really peppered the vehicle with bullets. The problem was that they were two women who were delivering newspapers and had nothing to do with the case. And a dentist's office in Palm Springs was stormed and raided. I mean, there are multiple incidents of either overreaction as a result of fear, which is what I am really suspecting, or trigger-happy guys just saying, that's him, let's shoot him, let's kill him, but without positive identification. It's a really nasty situation. I mean, everybody's upset and riled by this.
The allegations in his manifesto, some of them, what is your assessment of some of them from a generalized standpoint?
Well, first of all, let me say that I consider his manifesto suspect. I am an investigative journalist. My first book, Crossing the Rubicons, in the Harvard Business Library. I have done a great many investigations, a lot of which have involved studying documents. There's a marked change in writing style midway through. The first part of the so-called manifesto is clear, cogent, direct, focused on his legal case, and it's extremely compelling. He had reported his training officer for kicking a handcuffed, mentally ill man twice in the chest, once in the face, and she, being white, was, if you will, in the good old boy network, and as a result, eventually charges were filed against him after dismissing the allegations against the training officer for making false statements. The problem is that he has a good prima facie case that the incident did take place. There was the statements of the man and his father who confirmed the incident, and a DVD. So, one way to look at this would be to say they screwed with the wrong guy, arrogantly. And because this guy is supremely trained. He has an enormous skill set. Now, I'm not saying he's all pure Rambo, but I think the Rambo analogy kind of fits.
And in terms of that portion of the manifesto relating to his charges of brutality, corruption, etc., your insights.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that?
I'm sorry. The part of his manifesto that relates to suppression of evidence against police officers for brutality, for corruption, etc. Your insights based on your experience.
I totally believe him. I am aware of the long-term institutional arrogance, if you will, of the Los Angeles Police Department. I resigned at the end of 1978, but I lived in Los Angeles for many years, and I was very close to department personnel through the Rodney King insurrection riot and the Rampart Division scandal, and I'm very familiar with the culture and how it works. And I firmly accept everything he said there. He had enormous documentation to support that.
Just share with us, because a lot of folks in the audience are unaware totally of his case as it relates to a news item, and also the essences of what you understand, what you have seen of the brutality and the corruption, etc., in LA police.
Well, I mean, to some degree, since the Rodney King riots, there have been some improvements. However, a core operating structure, if you will, the men of the cloth of LAPD, that network has that system has not been touched at all, not been affected. I mean, the current chief, Charlie Beck, his dad, George Beck, was a deputy chief when I was a policeman on the job. And some of the names that turned up in the uncensored manifesto, which is out there, are familiar to me. And so what I think, too, is that institutionally LAPD has been able to have things its own way and rig things for so long. There's an old saying that those who win in a rigged game get stupid. And I think that there was some really bonehead moves I see made by the department. And this is a man who they really are not going to have much success in terms of writing off as a nutcase. He was a lieutenant in the Navy. He had a command. He was a warrior. He was decorated. He served in Iraq and Bahrain, and was honorably discharged. So he has enormous skill sets, and he did 3 years with LAPD. And overwhelmingly, in spite of the fact that they're trying to portray him as a nutcase, the people who have known him have had very high regard for him. So, clearly he's a guy who snapped.
When you look at the culture of the Los Angeles Police Department and you look at his skill set, how much of that situation that he brought to them as a complaint, was that an opportunity of their getting rid of someone who was superior to their skill set?
No. LAPD and police departments around the country now are full of military combat veterans. And to say that they were afraid of somebody with that skill set that doesn't fly. As a matter of fact, those skill sets are sought by police departments all over the place because police departments can't afford to provide that kind of training or experience. So I don't think he was isolated for that reason. He was probably isolated more because he was a black man who didn't like being called by the N-word. You know what I'm saying? He spoke his mind. He talked about that in the document, and I have to repeat that I will not be satisfied that he wrote every word in that document until he says so, because the stuff about Barack Obama and gun control and a lot of other stuff are all out of place in his system. So he's not a nut. He is. He is doing what U.S. Army Special Forces, Navy SEALs, Special Operations Warriors have done since the Vietnam era. They target innocents. They target women and children and families. They make a book, if you will, on their targets and document names, places, locations, and they have all of that in place. And those are the kind of tactics that he's employing right now. The first two victims, one was the daughter of a retired LAPD captain who I would say misrepresented him at his trial board hearing. So he went after the daughter first and killed her and her fiance, and then in what appeared to me a very carefully executed or thoughtfully executed attack, he fired on two Riverside police officers, killing one. He later wounded an LAPD officer. He has rules of engagement, and if you compare his actions against, let's say, the videotape that Army Specialist Bradley Manning leaked of the helicopters just gunning down innocent Iraqi civilians willy-nilly, he has better rules of engagement and fire control than the U.S. military has displayed in, from Central America, Latin America, Peru, Bolivia, Iran, Iraq, all over the world for decades now. So I consider this to be chickens coming home to roost.
Okay. Not how, but have you had the opportunity to see the movie Gangster Squad that deals with the L.A. police?
No.
Going back? Okay. And in terms of Bratton, who was over the department, his picture appeared in the New York Daily News, rather, from the past with he and Christopher.
Right.
What happened with Bratton being in L.A. and because he's no longer there?
Yeah. Well, Bratton was woven through all of this is what we have seen through the Occupy movement, and I was deeply involved in the Occupy movement in 2011. And when Homeland Security orchestrated the shutdowns across the country and the attacks on the occupiers is that police departments around the country now are really affiliates of the Department of Homeland Security and CIA, and that is true since the Patriot Act was enacted after the attacks of September 11th.
Wait a minute, say that again. Say
police departments are basically affiliates of the Department of Homeland Security now.
And you said the CIA.
And the CIA, absolutely. This is what my life and my career has been about, as, a part of it. And Bill Bratton was deeply tied to the intelligence community when he came from New York to L.A. because he is a guy who represents a thread of consistent policy. He's a guy that can be sent in any place to make police departments conform with a much larger agenda controlled elsewhere.
Oh, that's how he moves around.
Of course.
You're saying of course. I'm just seeing people hire him here, hire him there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's if you will, the banking system's U.S. government's man to go in and, straighten out law enforcement issues. There are a great many people who have done that, shifting from department to department over a great many years. Bratton, took the photo with the guy, which is embarrassing for Bratton. Again, makes it much harder to write off because Christopher was in military uniform at the time before deploying to Iraq.
Yeah.
I don't know that Chief Bratton would have, as chief of police, and he was chief when Christopher was terminated. So he would have known the case, he would have read the case, and he would have signed off on it. And so I do believe he bears some responsibility because clearly the documents that were submitted, the evidence that was submitted, shows that the trial board was a joke.
Man. When you look at the recruitment for the L.A. Police Department, the understanding I have is that in the past, they were taken from Texas and Louisiana, not necessarily from the immediate area. What might you share?
No. I think that's kind of oversimplified. LAPD recruits from all over the place, and it's not true that they went. No, I don't put much in that at all.
Okay. I was just okay. All right. And in terms of your website, your blog.
Well, I do not have a website now. I was involved with a company that I started, Collapse Network, and I fired myself from there this last spring. And so I do not currently have a website. I do, however, have a radio show, and there is a possibility. I have issued the invitation, and I've been doing interviews widely over this, that Chris Dorner may call into my show tonight. It's based out of New York. It's with the Progressive Radio Network.
Oh, Gary Knowles people.
Yeah, I follow his show on Sunday night tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern at prn.fm. The show is called The Lifeboat Hour. And you can find out more about the show by going to prn.fm and looking up Lifeboat Hour or my name, Michael Rupert.
Excellent.
And so, and I'm very active on Facebook. A lot of information has been being moved on my personal Facebook page, Michael C. Rupert, not the public figure, but my personal one. And we've been pretty much on top of things on a very timely basis as they break or as we have new insights. So that's where I'm staying active right now.
And the case of Gary Webb, share with you observe about that. On this side of the continent, the report that I'm aware of is, as a consumer aware of, is that he was shot twice in the head.
All right, let me put this to rest because this is disinformation. This is sown by people like Alex Jones, and I am really tired of it. I was a good friend of Gary Webb. I gave the eulogy at his funeral. I was in the house where he committed suicide. He did commit suicide. In the weeks before he took his own life, he wrote individual suicide letters to his 3 children, to his ex-wife, to his brother, and to his mother. I interviewed all of them. He moved his personal property. He changed his insurance policies. He fired the first shot into his right ear with a .38 caliber revolver, but he pointed it down toward his jaw. It was not a fatal wound. You have to hit the brain to create a fatal wound. And having, didn't blow it out, but having grossly disfigured his face with the first shot, a hesitation shot, he walked over to a mirror and put the second bullet in his brain. And I am extremely tired of seeing and having his family victimized all these years for rumors that have been put out there. I would tell you if he was murdered. And he was a good friend of mine, and I want to put that to rest very, very clearly and strongly.
Good, excellent. Talk about the so-called denial by the CIA and then the admittance of the CIA to his charges of their being involved in the crack trade.
There is a feature movie being made about Gary Webb's life. I believe it's called Kill the Messenger or Shoot the Messenger. I'm sorry, I don't remember. But Gary Webb was trashed, and I was close to him after this. It was when his stories broke in the San Jose Mercury News that resulted in the hearing in Los Angeles where I confronted the CIA director, John Deutsch, and cost him his job. That's what Dick Gregory told me later on. That's when Dick Gregory made me his white son, and I thought that was cool. But Gary's work was meticulous. He was a Pulitzer Prize winner. And his paper backed him initially through the hearings when Congresswoman Maxine Waters and Juanita Millender McDonald and Julian Dixon all stood up, and there was a big outcry. But eventually his paper backed away due to CIA pressure. They didn't retract his stories. They withdrew support for him, and he was trashed even though he was right. There were two reports, and I was deeply involved in all of this throughout that time. Two Inspector General's reports, Volume 1 and Volume 2, basically released documents substantiating everything that Gary Webb had said and more. And yet, when he took his own life in December of 2004, a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist who had done the right thing couldn't get a job writing for a throwaway newspaper in Sacramento.
We have time for a couple of calls, 212-650-6903. And if you have a question, please ask it. No statements, just go to your question. If you have a question, no statement, go to your question. God bless you. Thank you for your call. You're on the Black Air.
Yes, God bless you. One quick question. I've been hearing reports that because of the skill level of the brother, that they have had to go over to Israel and bring in some of their top people in regards to tracking this guy down. Is there any truth to that?
I would not believe that at all. I mean, I am very well known in the special warfare community. I mean, I have a Navy K-bar dive knife, third generation, that was given to me and autographed by Commander Dick Marcinko, who founded SEAL Team 6. They don't have to go to Israel for that kind of skill. We got tons of that skill here, and it's a domestic issue and a domestic problem. I do believe that JSOC, Joint Special Operations Commander, CIA teams have been put out in the field because they might be the only ones with the skill set to catch him given his training. I do believe he has pretty much outwitted the FBI, the LAPD, and all of those guys.
Telephone number 212-650-6903. We only have a few more minutes with Michael Rupert. Your question, not a statement. God bless you. Thank you for your call. You're on the Black Air.
Yeah, I got a quick question. My question is, why would they, would they normally put something like this out in the open when a guy like this goes, quote, rogue, or why are they publicizing this? Why aren't they keeping it quiet and going after them?
Well, he publicized it. We do live in a world and an age now where through Facebook and various other media, you can get stuff out quickly. But what was clear was that they had two homicides out in Riverside or wherever the first two occurred underway, and I believe that when the shooting with Riverside PD came out, it was too much to hide. News agencies monitor police radio, so if an officer needs help, officer down call came out, the press would know about that, and it wouldn't be long before they found out anyway. And then he would have become instant news. So I don't see that they're overplaying this at all. Actually, my impression, and I am a journalist, I have published a newsletter for 8 years, and we brought down Donald Rumsfeld behind the Pat Tillman cover-up. And I'm a very experienced journalist, and I think in to some respects it's being underreported.
Okay. What of it being underreported?
Well, there's a lot more that all of the press stories, and of course we should expect this from corporate-owned media, which is towing the government line. The government and the mainstream media now are really, two hands of the same body. And the stories are overwhelmingly trying to suggest in people's minds that this was a really bad cop, which he was not, that he was unstable, which he obviously was not. We can argue that, but I think he's been planning this for 9 months. But while he was on the job, there's no such reports. His military career is good, and there's been underreporting and underfocus on his allegations of corruption within LAPD. And I think that's kind of what, because I've been talking about it along with many others, it has forced Chief Beck to say, okay, we are going to look into this again.
Mm-hmm. Telephone number 212-650-6903. When you talk about the media and the control of the media, how can the average person, what would your recommendations be to the average person to get beyond the box which is constructed by general media? Hold on. Okay. God bless you. Thank you for your call. You're on the Black Air.
Yes, let me turn down.
This is Whcr 90.3 on the FM dial, coming to you from the campus of City College. The program is The Communicators. Our guest online is Mr. Michael Rupert. Caller?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'd like Michael's take on a little tiny piece that was in the Daily News the other day saying that stop and frisk had gone down 20%. And they define stop and frisk, which is very interesting, as police thinking that there has been a crime committed or there's about to be a crime committed, which I think is an important connection with criminalizing the whole population. I like his comment on that, and I like also to know how he thinks this is going to sort of, this situation in L.A. is going to sort of wind down, and what are his thoughts around bringing the police out of their institutional evil, if you will, to something that we can all live with. Now I'll hang up and listen. Well, I might be able to hear you better over the phone, so let's first try that.
Thank you.
First of all, we live in a police state. We do. The Constitution was destroyed with the Patriot Act, with the National Defense Authorization Act, which has eliminated habeas corpus and allowed for indefinite detention and arrest of American citizens without trial, without prosecution. That's a case now rapidly moving toward the Supreme Court. There is no Constitution left, and we do live in a police state. With regard to parsing it out into stop and frisk issues or whatever, I would submit that with the Occupy movement especially, and all of the crimes that were committed there against the occupiers, that we understand that law enforcement can do or will do pretty much whatever it wants to and what it thinks it can get away with as needed. And there appears to be increasing synchronicity, if you will, between the moves of different police departments at different times around the country. Leaving that aside, we're in a police state. And what seems to be important now are the holographic images that people are conditioned to see about, cops being good guys, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that facade is wearing away quickly. As to the outcome of this, I don't know. I would like to see Christopher Dorner taken alive, and I would like to see justice done on all sides. That includes him. I'm not supporting him. I'm supporting the truth. He is someone who has paralyzed law enforcement. He is an archetypal character, if you will, in that he is galvanizing a lot of stuff. And I think that there are around the country, in Los Angeles, a great many police officers of field staff and command ranks who agree with him. And I believe that there are fault lines inside law enforcement. And when I was with Occupy, I made a video that that influenced how LAPD addressed the situation there. That's on YouTube. That we want police to realize their connectedness with all of us and to step back on occasion and take a look and ask themselves what they're doing. And are you really just wearing the uniform which says honor on the outside and hollow on the inside? I mean, fundamentally, this issue for me is that Christopher Dorner, who has served in Iraq who was a veteran and who saw all the crimes. I mean, 2 million Iraqi civilians were killed, men, women, and children, non-combatants. That's what the U.S. military has been doing. He lived in that world. He saw that world. And I think he came back to LAPD and joined LAPD, might have bought the press releases, but he thought, at last maybe I can wear a uniform and really fight some bad guys. And what did he find? He found more BS. And I think what everybody maybe on the planet is waiting for is for just somebody somewhere to behave honorably.
Mm-hmm. Michael Rupert, once again, you're on tonight, the Progressive Radio Network. That's prn.com. That's, I'm sorry, prn.fm. FM, and that's 9 p.m. tonight after Gary Knoll show on Progressive Radio Network. I want to thank you very much for taking out this time and joining us, and thanking Randy Short for setting up this interview. God bless you. Much success to you in this year, 2013.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been The Communicators. I want to thank all of you who have donated to the WHCR fundraising drive. Mrs. Forward, I want to thank you very much. Mrs. Thrash, I want to thank you very much. And others who have donated because of their support of The Communicators and Respectful Life. I'm always saying, if you gain something from the shows that we do here, show your support either by letters saying, hey, we're all right with this brother, because you have those who write against this program, who write against Respectful Life. And therefore, if you write a note saying of your appreciation, and those of you who can donate $5, $10, whatever the thing is, fantastic. And those of you who can come to the fundraising party this Thursday, fantastic. Also, tomorrow morning is Dr. Kwabena Ashanti. We continue our discussion on confidence and self-esteem. Also, Tuesday night on Blog Talk Radio, we have a gentleman who's written a book called The Looting of America, How to Make $1 Million an Hour. These are two books. Les Leopold, you don't hear his voice during the day except on Gary Knoll's show, I think it was a Friday or Thursday, and he has a lot to say in terms of the financial conditions in this country. Les Leopold. Take this down, blogtalkradio.com/The Keys 107. The Keys 107, KEYS 107, and that's all one word. Once again, blogtalkradio.com/The Keys 107. Of course, www. goes in front of blogtalkradio.com/The Keys 107, and that's Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. And what else I have to tell you about? The Amsterdam News this week, they have part 3 of the series that they're running on Martin Luther King, and also keep tuned into the exhibits at the Schomburg Library, right there on 135th Street. Go in and get a brochure. They have a exhibit coming up with blacks in India, and also be sure you read in the library, read black newspapers, The Challenge, The Daily Challenge, The Beacon, The Culvert Chronicles, Black Star News, and The Final Call newspaper. If you go in the library and you see that issue from last week, which is Black History, the 10 biggest lies about black history, you want to read that. You want to read the Amsterdam News. You want to read black newspapers during the month of February. Let your children see you reading a black newspaper in your home. God bless you all. Thank you very much to the management of WHCR and my fellow communicators. Peace.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
I remember house when house was soul music and R&B before house was disco. I remember house when house was about love. House was about love.
Hi, this is astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn inviting you to meet me at WHCR's Valentine's Day party on Thursday, February 14th. I'll be doing relationship readings that will hopefully lead you to your soulmate. WHCR's house music DJs, DJ Mike D, DJ Vince the Prince, DJ Justice, and DJ Black Icon 1 will be spinning the wheel. There will be free food, a cash bar, and admission is only $10. That's Hearts Meet when house people meet Thursday, February 14th at Image Nation's Raw Space, located at 2031 Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard between 121st and 122nd Street. I'll see you there.
You don't have to travel downtown for Italian cuisine in an elegant atmosphere. Gran Piazza d'Oro now has a full-service bar, and they offer the best in Italian cuisine. Satisfy your palate with an assortment of traditional Italian dishes like fettuccine alfredo, chicken marsala, and their award-winning special, golden lobster alla Gilberto. Gran Piazza d'Oro is available to host and or cater your next event. Gran Piazza d'Oro is located at 1429 5th Avenue between 116th and 117th Street.